Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I am Tyler Metcalf, joined as always by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Mr. Metcalf. How are we doing? Did you celebrate harder than Patrick Beverley last night? True or false?
I plead the fifth. So I feel like I came in a little too mellow last episode, and nerves were high. I was a little anxious going into that game, and for a lot of it, things weren't going too hot. Shout out Ed Malloy and Scott Foster. But god damn it, that game rocked. Oh,
we could talk about it a little bit. I know we got some draft stuff, but if you want to let some, we didn't even talk about it before we hit record. So if you want to voice your opinions about that game, I mean, it was incredible.
It was so much fun.
He had to be dealing with a lot with the Karl Anthony Towns lost his talent from Space Jam Aliens game. Anthony Edwards looked like the best player in the league for a couple minutes in the game. I was like, oh my gosh, Ant-Man playoff mode is going to be really awesome if they pull this off. But what a grind. I was very impressed. Minnesota, I kept thinking the Clippers were going to like pull away.
Yeah.
Because they're so damn tough this time of the year because they just know it. And Minnesota just never stopped. They were like, screw it, we're coming right at you. And so that's cool. That's what I love about young teams too. But I need everyone to calm down about giving Patrick Beverley shit. Although I will admit that I laughed too about the "We Are the Champions" on TNT. But cool for Pat Bev. You know, I joked on Twitter that he's like a Mario when he gets the mushroom when he gets inside your head. Like you're feeding the beast with Patrick Beverley if you let him own real estate. But yeah, you got to be on cloud nine, man.
Oh man, I'm so pumped. I 100% understand why people are clowning on them for the way they celebrated. it was a little much, but that, you know, John Krasinski at The Athletic wrote an awesome piece earlier this year when D'Lo called out the quiet ass fans, which they were. And ever since then, they have really picked it up. And that atmosphere last night was incredible. And I highly, highly, highly recommend going over to The Athletic and reading that John Krasinski piece. I tweeted that out last night as well. But it really just does such a good job of detailing how tortured this fan base and this Timberwolves fan base is and how they've had nothing to root for since 2004. And now we do. And Anthony Edwards is morphing into Michael Jordan. I'm not being hyperbolic. Don't roll your eyes at me.
No.
And listeners, I feel you doing it already too. But what he did last night, that kid has no fear. God, he is just so much fun. And just he's so easy to root for too.
Yeah, he still is one of the guys in the league that, and he might be the one guy that stands out to me the most lately, is when he gets in the lane with some momentum, his explosiveness to get up. And it's not him trying to dunk on everyone every time. It's just him going physically like tough towards the basket. And a couple times last night, I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, the MJ thing is a little crazy, but I understand you're drunk on emotions right now. So but he does get like, he glides through the air like that, where it's just kind of like you're just jaw dropped. But it was crazy. The environment was awesome. Watching on TV, it like they had the towels going, people were standing. I was like, this feels like the KG era in his prime. Like it was just cool. It was an awesome game. I hated the play-in tournament idea a couple years ago. Now every time I'm like, damn, this is kind of awesome. So, you know, shout out to the T-Wolves. It's going to be exciting for a series. I have a feeling Morant's going to be pretty pumped for game one. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. The 4 games those two had this year were really good too. So I don't think the Timberwolves are going to beat the Grizzlies. So calm down, everyone. I'm not completely delusional here. Although, no, I'm kidding. But I do think it is going to be a good series. I would be shocked if they lost in 4 or 5. I fully expect it to go 6 or 7. And I would be stunned if we see that awful of a Karl Anthony Towns again. he was awful. And he's kind of let the Clippers get in his head the way they defend him like that every time they played this season. And once the first call or two don't go his way, he can really spiral and take himself out of games. And with Ed Malloy and Scott Foster on the floor, just reversing technicals as they see fit, anything is possible, unfortunately. But enough of my gushing over the glorious Timberwolves victory. The one of the greatest wins in franchise history. God, that's sad and true all at the same time. But we are here to talk about the 2022 draft class, and everyone loves lists. Everyone loves numbers. So we're going to build one of our own with our top 10 boomer bust prospects in this draft. So this can vary because I think it can give a really good insight of how we view some of these guys. And obviously the 90th percentile for one guy is different than another, but I think the chances of prospects hitting those percentile outcomes are also really different. So these are guys that we could easily see becoming high-end starters and even falling out of the league before they hit their second contract. And the way we're going to build this list is just alternating picks, basically like mock draft. And with the first pick, Rucker, I'll let you go first.
I'm really excited for this. You brought this idea up, and I was like, this is a good one. I kind of like doing the creative, like almost draft stuff where it's like making lists and all this wild anarchy, because we talk about so much damn stuff every day between group chats and message boards or whatever, or Twitter, and me and you just texting back and forth. It's like, okay, it's fun to get a new little idea. But my first boomer bust guy I'm going to throw out there is someone who just entered his name into the draft. I'm going to roll with the Peyton Watson train. I think this is a humongous boomer bust guy. Because it's I feel like we hit it on this before. All the episodes kind of get blurred into one, but I do feel like he's going to have to go somewhere that's going to be very, very patient with his development. Now, for anyone listening that didn't watch Peyton Watson very closely this year, it's like he was going to be potentially like a top 10 pick heading into the year. Like 6'9", lengthy as hell. Really, really special defensive tools. Like he could be a problem if everything goes right. The offense isn't there. I think the outside shot was something that was being developed all year. I saw him in the beginning of the year. The fundamentals were all over the place. It's shown like it's gotten better. So I still think like that's going to be a development. He's got to put weight on, but what he can already do with how raw he is, like it is effortless. It is beautiful when he's got some confidence rolling. So the funny thing about Peyton Watson, like he didn't play a ton at UCLA. If anyone listening hasn't watched him, you look at his stats, you're gonna be like, what? Because he just struggled to get on the court. But I've gone back and watched his FIBA stuff, and man, when they put the ball in his hands, he can do some special stuff. So I really do think like this was the wild card we were kind of thinking might happen with him declaring for the draft. And if he goes to the right place where he's patient and lets that confidence build, I still could see him climbing and kind of ending up in the end of the first round. And we're like, whoop, someone believes in him. Like that's all it takes is one team. So yeah, that's my first boomer bust guy for the BOB draft. No ceilings draft. That's what I just named it. What about you, Metcalf? What do you think? Or do you want to hit me with your first?
Yeah, I definitely had Watson on my list. I think that's a really good call. I think the defense is legitimate. I love his length, his shot blocking, just like the attitude he plays with.
Yeah.
He just plays like a tough MFer. And then I really like his passing. He didn't get to show it at all outside of high school. And especially not at UCLA, but I definitely think there's some on-ball upside there with him. And I forget which episode it was, but it was an earlier one where I threw out the name. What about Jimmy Butler as his outcome? And obviously that'd be incredible outcome, and that's 99th percentile way down the line. But that type of player who still has the ability to get to the rim, who can play make, who can kind of score inside the arc, but it doesn't have a 3-point shot really, and is a dog on defense. So landing spot I think is going to be really important for him. Like we talked about on last episode, organizational culture and patience is going to be really important for him. But the tools are there, and especially the athletic gifts that you can't really teach, and that mindset of wanting to fight and battle on every possession is there. So I definitely think that he's one of these guys where we look back on it's like, oh God, how, classic dumb front offices letting him fall to 25 or something, and but at the same time, maybe he doesn't do anything more than break out the G League, and if that shot never improves, even a little bit, that could be the case.
Yeah. I just wildly thought in the back of my head, like, oh my gosh, the Bucks should just take him with their pick in the first round and just be like, we just did this. We're going to do it again. And he's going to have a guy that tells him how to do everything. And because I'm not kidding, like when he is rolling and his confidence flowing, like he jumps off the talent is one of the top in the draft. Like it is unbelievable when he's got some confidence going and he's doing some special stuff. Cause he's a grab and go guy that gets up the floor in a hurry, has great vision, and defensively, like he can do some stuff with his shot blocking and anticipation. That's just like, oh man, if someone just like grooms all the tools together, like that is a heck of a get. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it too long because I know you need to pick still. So
yeah, so with the number 2 spot, I'm going to go with Patrick Baldwin Jr.,
I had him on my list,
who had almost as disastrous of a freshman season as Peyton Watson, who had a ton of preseason hype and expectations to be at even a top 5 guy, and now he's being dropped out of the first round in a lot of cases. I really don't think I'm going to move him out of the late lottery or mid first round, because the potential is there. And all I'm taking away from this year is that he's not the number 1 guy who can take over an offense. And that's okay. 10 guys in the league can do that. So the fact that PBJ can't, I'm still buying in on the talent, the shooting, the feel for the game on both ends of the floor. I think there's a lot there. And if a team brings him in and uses him as an off-ball option and just size and length and shooting, I definitely think there are some really, really high-end outcomes that make us think like, okay, maybe we need to start valuing pre-college tape a lot more and really dive in and factor and pick apart whatever situation they land in for that year in college if it is disastrous.
Yeah, he was on my list. I'm still believing, I made this dad joke before, don't stop believing. I just really, I'm like you, Metcalf. If I learned anything this year, he's not a number 1. Yeah. He could be a damn good number 2 though. And I'm still, he's a fantastic one for this segment because it really is boom or bust with him. It's either the nightmare year that he goes and plays with better talent and life is so much easier because all he has to do early on is just catch and shoot, which he can do. People that haven't watched him closely all year are going to be like looking at his 3-point percentage. He's like, he's supposed to be this good shooter and he shot this percent. And it's like, yes, he can shoot. He can shoot the crap out of the ball. I'm right there with you. This is one of those players that the more I watch, the more I'm saying I'm going all in with Patrick Baldwin. I don't, if this is what I miss on, this is what I miss, because I'm not going to be the only one. Like, I'm not saying I'm having him top 10 right now. Like, I think I personally had him around late lottery. Oh, I had him 16. I just moved him down a couple. Sorry, Patrick. But that's also another guy that, like, when I get back on the deep dive for him, that might be something where I'm like, okay, move him back up, because you just don't see that type of smooth shooter come around often. And if he does fall, this could be the best blessing for him, because the more he falls, the better the team theoretically he's going to go to, and the easier his life might be. So I'm right there with you. I think that's a good one. That was one of my first candidates. I just wanted to be a little aggressive with Mr. Watson.
All right, who you got for 3?
I'm gonna get a little wild. Someone we haven't brought up in a minute. Ousmane Dieng. is my second pick. Yeah, he's on my list. Here's my thing. Now, everyone listening that is a draft diehard, you're all probably throwing something across the room. You're like, Rucker, come on, man, because this is the guy that's getting hot right now, and everyone wants to get on the Ujman Zhang. I hope I keep saying his name right because I'm really proud of that one.
If you're not, I'm not going to correct you.
Yes, thank you. Everyone's getting on this hype train now. They're jumping on it because it's a really, really young wing that's reportedly 6'10", that looks like he can shoot the crap out of the ball. I get it. I've been watching him all year. I've been wanting him. He was the top international guy that everyone wanted to see. Now, everyone was buzzing about Nikola Jovic, but I talked to scouts in the beginning of the year, and everyone was like, we're hoping Zhang's ready to roll because, they wanted someone to really create some buzz from this international class. And I had asked the same scout like recently, I was like, has Zhang's recent performances got you more excited? And he's like, it's promising, but it might be too little, too late. Like he's just saying, like there's growing pains that are going to happen with him. It's another guy like Peyton Watson you're going to have to be patient with, but he has the tools. It's just like he's got to get more consistent. He's super skinny. Like him and Peyton Watson need to live in the weight room together for an entire year. Maybe with Giannis, not probably together because what they're doing is really skinny. But I mean, the tools are awesome. He has a beautiful shot. He can hit that corner shot now, which is a big deal for, early contributing role in the NBA. But I think this is going to be a guy that needs to get some confidence because you saw in the beginning of the year, he was just struggling. Like he just couldn't adjust to the physical playing style of the NBL. Now he's getting to play a little bit more. Their team's not the strongest, but he's getting to play a little bit more, learn with those growing pains, and you're really starting to see some flashes. He's got touch in the lane. He's got some playmaking upside. So I'm really excited about what I've seen. I think we need to pump the brakes a little because I think people are getting a little drunk on this. But when you get to a certain point in the draft, like a certain range, absolutely, he would be a worthy gamble. I've even seen some like Rockets fans buzzing about potentially with their second pick. I think that'd be a little rich for me. When you get in the 20s, I'd probably be like, yeah. But some team's going to be saying we can invest in this project. We're believing in the long term. But it's the hype train's out of control right now. So
yeah, it really feels like the March Madness bump, like someone who had an awesome tournament and is now being projected as a lottery pick, even though they should go in like the 40s. I'm not saying Zhang should necessarily go in the 40s, but based on the first 2/3 of his season, he kind of did. I still need to go do that real deep dive on the recent games, but the improvement in the numbers and performance and efficiency and all that is super encouraging. It's just one of those things where we're gonna have to figure out how real it is because the tools are undeniable, and if you can really harness that level of production from a player in that body, it's a really rare combination.
Yeah, I mean that we're talking boom or bust, guys. That's the biggest boom. Like if he hits, he has the tools to be a damn animal. Like that. There's a reason why he was in France. He was buzzing. Then he makes the jump to go play in the NBL, and everyone was like, okay, like interesting, because he was just thin framed, playing in France, and everyone's like, might be in for a rude awakening, and he did. He had it. But now you're starting to see that he's really everything's clicking a little bit, and he's showing more consistency. He's becoming more efficient. So, this is going to be a guy that needs a developmental program. And like we talked in our last episode, Metcalf, like this is a GM who takes him is going to need to have security to wait. You're going to have to wait with Zhang. He's not going to be this right away play because he's not there yet. But, if he hits, oh boy. But that's also like if you have 2 first-round picks, that might be one you want to do with your second one. You might want to be like, Sam Presti might get, one of the top 3 boys, and all of a sudden just be like, I'll take a gamble on Jang. What do I got to lose? Like, so that's where I'm at with him. But I do think everyone's getting a little drunk. We need to call an Uber for everyone right now because everyone's been at the party too long.
All right, with the 4th pick, I'm going to go with someone who I view who I have more of a bust view on than a boom, and that's Jean Montero.
Okay, wow, I wasn't ready for that. All right.
I don't get it at all, but a lot of really smart people are really high on him. So, kind of similar to Zhang, he's another guy I really got to go back through and do, my 3rd or 4th deep dive on to try and figure out what people are seeing and why it's not clicking for me. But maybe it was a situation thing where he's just kind of coasted, but the fact that he couldn't really dominate consistently against high schoolers basically is a concern for me. The fact that his decision making against high schoolers is a real big issue and concern for me. But I am willing to submit that maybe it's situation and he's just out there trying shit and going through the motions. But he's someone who I keep seeing mocked in the lottery or top 20, top 25 range, and I can't get behind that, especially if I'm looking at small guards and a guy like Iverson Molinar or Kennedy Chandler is on the board. I would much rather go that route than with Montero.
Yeah, I'm trying. I just thought of a little bit of a hot take, so that's why I'm trying to find something to kind of give me that ammunition. Montero's really gonna be a big boomer bust guy for me because I'm leaning towards out, and I want to be in, but the more and more and more I watch him, I'm struggling. And it's because it's like it really is like it's the headache. I feel like every draft class you get a headache when you're evaluating guys. You get this one prospect you can't get it out. It's like a bad headache. The more you take Advil, the more water you drink, it's staying there. You're not getting rid of it. And Montero's that one guy that every time I come like around to him, I'm like, oh, just like a groan, like, oh man, like because the overtime elite stuff, like everyone was downplaying like the competition. That's fine. You still see the burst and the upside offensively and the playmaking. Like they're all very impressive. I don't know how it's going to translate to the next level if he's not putting pressure on the rim. And then he goes to the Hoop Summit, and the buzz was that he really struggled finishing around the rim. And I'm like, okay, that's going against guys that are playing next year at college. And then, like, I knew what was going to happen. I even said it to the group chat at No Ceilings. It's like, he's going to go out and drop 20, and people are going to get a little bit, like, intrigued again in the game. And he did it, but everything was like almost like a wide open 3.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, okay, so is he going to be this guy that has to shoot from 3? Like, I wanted him to, like, show me, like, okay, get all over the place, just some versatility. And it seemed like everything, I was like, it's a 3. There's another 3. I get it. Everyone's like, well, he's making all these 3s. But I'm like, he needs to have multiple levels. For, like, with the point guard, you need them to be able to do multiple things on the floor. Like, and he's puzzling me because I don't know if it's going to be there consistently. But the problem is, and we've talked about this before, I went back and watched his international tape and I loved him. Like, he threw some passes that I was like, oh my gosh, like, how did he see that? Like, just on a rope, tiny windows. So it's going to be interesting. But, my hot take I was getting at is like, why do I feel like this is Theo Maledon all over again? Because I watched Theo. I really, really liked him as a prospect. Not making it up, guys. Like, I don't change my rankings. Like, I had him 25th. And that was, he averaged 7 points and 2 assists a game overseas for Asvel. And I'm just saying, like, watching him, I had the same buzz where I was like, man, I'm really intrigued with him. And Theo's like built, like he's got a great frame, but and he showed some promise during his rookie year with the Thunder, but I think he had like down year, if you want to say it, this year. So yeah, that's my vent. Montero's bugging me. And I did not mean to ramble on this long, but it is going to be a puzzling one because I thought forever he was going to be a name that heated up in pre-draft workouts.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like from going to, from the word out of Hoop Summit is it didn't really move the needle at all. And I thought this was a big week for him. And if it's not really moving the needle, I'm like, oh boy, I don't know. So it got tougher.
Yeah. It's that inconsistency that he continues to show over and over and over and over again against high schoolers, which is the real problem and concern for me. And it's not always the best high schoolers in the country on a nightly basis. It's a bunch of OTE guys who, yes, there are some really good players there. I'm not trying to undermine their individual talent, but given the lack of structure and how those guys play and, his perceived elevated skill set, he should be dominating those games and he should be taking over the Hoop Summit and he should be able to, really kind of penetrate and score inside. And he just doesn't. So we'll in the future, we'll do a real deep dive episode on him to really dive into who he is.
Yeah.
But just right now, I'm struggling. So with the 5th pick, who you got?
And I'm not saying I'm out on Montero. I just it's one of those guys that's going to be one of those I'm still watching him until like the week before the draft where I'm like, you better sell me already. Like just do it. But okay. This is where I get interesting because I'm trying to get outside the box because I feel like we mention the same guys every time. Okay, you ready for this one?
Please.
David Roddy.
Okay.
And here's why. I think someone's going to be convinced he can be a Weapon X. I think some playoff team is going to be like, hell yeah, we'll roll the dice. Because if he can stick, and I'm not saying he's going to be a starter, if he can stick and be like a nice 7th guy where it's like a dynamic wrinkle, that's an interesting weapon to have in your rotation. And I understand like the concerns about his height and how is it going to work. But I think like some playoff team like Miami or something, I don't know. I give like PJ Tucker role vibes from David Roddy. Now, I'm not saying that David Roddy's the defender that PJ Tucker was coming out of college, but I'm saying maybe it's like a more offensive-minded version of that because he has playmaking ability. He can shoot the crap out of the ball. His footwork's outstanding. I could just see some playoff team being like, this is our 8th guy, and we're going to figure it out, and maybe you have the pieces around him to kind of hide that limited size. But, we're talking boom or bust. I don't even know if I'm all in on David Roddy, but I do think some team's going to be like, we're going to roll the dice on David Roddy potentially being a nice weapon for us that's, unique and different. And that's where I'm at. Yeah, now I see. I just had my migraine with the Montero pick you gave me, and I threw it right back at you because you look like you're about to punch the computer screen, and
so
you look like Patrick Beverly in the first half.
No, so I get why people like Roddy.
And I also get why people don't like Roddy.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he might just be one of these awesome college players.
Yeah.
Which, is fine. That's certainly better than anything I certainly could ever do. But obviously, so obviously the weight is the first thing that stands out. The build, it's weird, but I don't really care. I think NBA coaches are creative enough and to kind of scheme and put together rosters to maximize guys' abilities. So I don't really care that he's a 255-pound shooting guard. the footwork on offense, I think, is really incredible. He's just always on balance. He's really quick with it. His step backs, his spins, his ability to really quickly elevate into a shot is really intriguing. The defense is my biggest issue with it, and I don't think he's necessarily a bad defender, but every time I watched him defend on the perimeter and he had his high foot attacked, he was always a step slow. And that's where the physical limitations concern me. Because I generally think that offensive footwork translates pretty well for him on defense, where he moves his feet nicely, but I think they're slow. And I just really see NBA teams targeting him over and over and over again and playing him off the floor really quickly. And I'm not sure that his offensive ceiling is going to be enough to really outweigh what he is or who he is as a defender. So it wouldn't stun me if he's one of these guys that's like an awesome six man or something, but he's also one of these players where if I miss on him, I'm fine with it.
Where do you have him?
64.
Oh, wow. I feel like I'm believing more than most of the No Ceilings crew. I have him at 43.
Okay. And I get it, because the if the offensive stuff is real, if that really translates for him, I think the shooting could be legit, and then if it is, he could be a guy. I really struggle with seeing him get beaten on that high foot and being slow to flip his hips over and over and over again and stuff like that. It just really burrows into my mind, and it's tough for me to get over when you have that glaring of an issue, at least in my eval. And, that's something that can be attacked over and over again and not necessarily schemed out super easily.
This is going to sound like I'm rooting against him. I'm not. This sounds almost like a guy. I could see David Roddy struggling to latch on somewhere and then down the road figures it out and like sticks for a long time. And that's what I'm not saying like this happens. Like guys just keep bouncing around, and then all of a sudden some team really gives them a chance, and they've not been humbled, but they've like kind of figured out, and it's like the perfect fit. Duncan Robinson, who's in the G League forever, and I was like, he's got to go to the right team, and he goes to the Heat, and it was like perfect. So it just happens with these guys. The defense thing is so interesting to me, because when a guy has great footwork offensively, you'd think that they could translate to the other side. It seems like if he's great defensively with his footwork and it's not the same offensively, it's like, well, okay, that's fine, because he has the ball. He's trying to figure out where to go with it. Like, sometimes guys. Go ahead.
From what I've seen, the footwork is fine on its own. It's when you force him to change directions, where if he's shading a guy left and they cross over to their right and he's got to flip his hips, that's where he gets lost. And it's not like a bad mechanical thing. It's slow. And by the time he gets there, the guy's already got a step on him. And then in the NBA against NBA wings and guards, that step might as well be a mile.
Yeah, he's on my list. He's coming up. That's going to be a day where I'm having a real heck of a day, and I'm gonna be like, okay, David Roddy, it's time to dance. So yeah, I'll be interested to watch that, especially because that was literally the question I was just going to ask you. I was like, is it fundamentals or is it just slow? And if it's just slow, then you're like, oh boy. Because that's hard to hide. It's hard to hide that, especially when all of a sudden, if you were slow foot in college, that's going to get worse in a hurry at the next level. So interesting. All right. Who you got? Who you got?
Next up at the number 6 spot, I'm going to go with a guy we've talked about a couple times, who most of the No Ceilings crew is not high on, Bryce McGowan's.
Okay, wow. Shout out Nathan. Nathan's going to be knocking at your door in like 10 minutes.
I believe Nathan is writing for him on Monday, so make sure to go check that out over on NoCeilingsNBA.com. Shameless plug. But I think when you look at Bryce McGowan's scoring ability, there is a lot there to really fall in love with. Now, the shot didn't fall this year, and I think a lot of that is lack of strength and really bad shot selection. It felt like he left a lot of stuff short, and he took some just awful pull ups all season long. What really encouraged me, though, was as the season progressed, he started improving his shot selection and attacking downhill. And when he attacked downhill and got to the rim, that's when he saw a lot of success. That's when he was getting those 20+ point games, and Nebraska was pulling out a couple wins towards the end of the season. The defense is a whole nother conversation. It's tough, but if he can really hone in that shooting consistency and ability that I think a lot of us think he could have, and improve that shot selection, I think there is like legitimate starting like shooting guard upside with him. Um, but if those bad habits don't get ironed out, then I think I get like poor man's Karis LeVert vibes from him. And I don't think that guy's on a whole lot of NBA teams.
The second half of the season sold me on
Much better.
even potentially buying in on Bryce Mcgowan. It's like I was pretty early on. I was like, I mean, and we just talked about Jordan Poole last episode. I was just getting the vibes of like, the shot selection all over the place, erratic. Then the second half of the season, he looked much better. He's super thin, but he has real estate at the free throw line. Like he gets to the rack. He wants to get to the rack. I love that.
He doesn't play as skinny as he is.
No, yeah.
And when we talk about Quavion Smith, who like really avoids contact at the rim and has like a really concerning free throw rate, Bryce McGowan is the exact opposite. He's challenging guys at the rim, and he's not afraid of contact, and he's got some actually like pretty impressive vertical pop too.
And he's slippery through traffic. Like he glides through the lane. He can really get places in a hurry. So it's a good one because I'm buying in. Like there's always a wing with offensive upside that starts to get a little bit of love, like at the late end of the first round. And I like Bryce McGowan's. Like I really do. Like I'm a sucker for guys that will be tough and get to the free throw line. And you know how skinny he is. He knows it, but he just has a desire to get to the rack. And I'm still kind of, I guess when I watch him, I'm still buying into the fact of like playing alongside better talent might make his life a lot easier, might make that efficiency click on a more, solid pace. Now, another guy that if he got drafted late in the first, it either some team's going to give him a shot or some team's going to be like, hey, let's get you some playing time in the G League. Let's get you some extended run down there and get your confidence rolling. Then let's unleash you when you're ready. And I hate when people think like me saying the G League is no, the G League is like one of the best resources in NBA. Do you think Jalen Green likes the G League experience right now? So I like Bryce. It's just one of those guys where like the beginning of the year, I was like, no. And now I saw that second half and I was like, oh, like maybe I might be in. So
yeah.
Another guy I'm excited
the fact that
in.
he showed like some in-season changes to how he played, I thought was really encouraging. It wasn't permanent and it wasn't all the time. There was still plenty of really, eye roll inducing pull-ups that he took, but it was also a lot more of attacking downhill. And that mid-season change, I think, is really important. You kept mentioning end of the first. I have him at like 27. So really any spot after 20, I'd be fine taking a swing on him because I do think he could, produce lottery value down the road. I just think it's going to be a little bit. And there are some serious concerns with the shot selection, the habits, the defense that he needs to iron out.
You said you have him at 27?
Yes.
Yeah, I got him at 28. So we're almost right there. And I feel like that's a good spot. Like if he goes early 20s, I won't be surprised. I could see some team buying into the offensive upside. And I still think he's going to end up a first rounder. I know the Bryce McGowan's guy on Twitter got pissed at us because we had him going in the second round of a mock draft. And I was like, dude, like Did you see our big board? He was 26th. Like, we all like him. It's just like happens with mocks. We can't predict. Like, we're not just going only off our big board. But no, I like McGowan's a lot. I'm intrigued with him. I still think like that's the range he wants to go in. I know everyone's like, what are you talking about? He wants to go in the lottery. But I'm like, if he goes to a playoff team, someone's going to have a really good plan for him to really bring out his strengths. Like, that'd be a great addition. I mean, imagine him with all those pieces around. It would be awesome, like for the stronger rosters. So, okay. What is this? My fourth?
Yeah, you're up. Number 7 overall.
Man, I can either have a good one or piss off a lot of people. Which one would you like?
I feel like those go hand in hand. So
yeah, usually. Yeah, I'll throw one out we haven't talked about. And I'm sorry to everyone listening. This is going to hurt a lot of people, and I'm sorry. But this is a boom or bust guy. And I think it could be a boom, but I'm not sold on it not being bust. Walker Kessler.
Interesting.
Now, I like Walker Kessler a good amount. He's the poster child for 1990s center that would have been drafted probably in the top 10. No, but being serious, like I love his shot blocking ability. I think the offensive upside's legit. I think there's some really intriguing tools. I'm worried about him switching onto guards. I'm worried about him guarding smaller ball handlers, and that's a big one. I know how gifted of a shot blocker he is, but I have to do a deep dive on him. So this answer could change in a month. But I think like if he hits, you're talking about a great big with like great size. And he's going to have that anticipation as a shot blocker. He's physical. He's nasty around the basket. He's got some good footwork. I get it all. Like I'm buying it too. But the one thing I can't leave out of my head is like, is Walker Kessler going to be guarded? Is he going to be okay when he's getting switched on? Because like, is this going to be a guy that they're hunting for guards to go at? Maybe he's fine. Maybe I'm just, venting right now and everyone thinks I'm crazy. Get in line because that line's long. But it's just one guy. Like I'm trying to throw someone new out. And I always look at Walker Kessler and I'm like, I'm probably going to end up buying on him pretty big once I do like the entire deep film dive. But the only thing I've questioned this year when I've watched him is like, does he have heavy feet? And is that going to be exposed at the next level going up against guards? So.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you defensively. And, the shot blocking is undeniable. He had the best block rate in the history of Bartorovic at 18.8. And that's absurd.
Is that good? It sounds good.
It's good. Yeah. Well, I guess technically he tied freshman Larry Sanders.
Larry, shout out Larry.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that when you do something that no one else has ever done, it's pretty good. I do think the rim protection is legitimate. I think he's going to be a really strong tool in drop coverage, but if he's forced to play anything else, I think it could be pretty disastrous. I kind of hate the way he moves on the perimeter. I think he's really heavy-footed. I think he's really kind of slow out there.
Gosh, I'm so glad I brought this up because me and you haven't talked about him, and we usually see eye to eye about stuff. The feet just seem like he's got cinder blocks.
Yeah.
But he's unbelievable shot blocker. Like I love him around the basket. He's got great timing. He's nasty. I love it. But when he has to move like a lot, I get nervous because I'm like, oh boy. Like is Chris Paul, well, he does this to everyone. Is Chris Paul going to be like, hey, Walker Kessler, why don't you come on out here and literally just be like, give him a torture chamber? I don't know. I just have questions.
Yeah. And the comp I keep seeing and hearing, and I've even used it in the past before too, is could he be Brook Lopez? And defensively, I think maybe. I think Brook's done an awesome job of kind of staying more balanced and kind of staying within himself once he gets dragged out onto the perimeter. And Kessler just seems to really get his momentum leaning one way or the other, and then really struggles to kind of contain it and redirect it in a positive fashion. And it's just like a swing going back and forth and just out of control. And then my bigger issue with that comp is I think that really does a disservice to what Brook Lopez is offensively. And
yes, it
I
also
think
might do a disservice to what Walker Kessler is defensively. Hot take.
potentially. But I do think Kessler is like a legitimate vertical spacer. According to Bartorovic, of his 153 made 279 of them were dunks. I think that he is a legitimate lob threat, whether out of the dunker spot or out of the pick and roll. He clearly wants to be a shooter, but I think he's far from that. And the big difference why I think Brook really was able to become like a reliable outside shooter in his latter years is that he really displayed that touch in the post over and over and over again for years. And that touch on his hook shots, on those mid-range jumpers, that he was able to pull that out to three. I don't see Kessler having any of that touch on layups around the rim, on mid-range pull-ups, on threes. It's this catapult motion that it looks like he's chucking a rock or like a medicine ball against the backboard. So I know he wants to shoot badly, and I'm not ruling it out that he gets there. I just think he has a ways to go to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is I'm listing all these guys, and these guys are all like, I have a list of guys I just write down. Like, okay, let me get through the big boys, and then let me really hit the trenches. And it's like Walker Kessler, everyone I'm listening, I'm like, I need to get at this point in the next month of the year, it's like you need to get, are you in or out? Like you need to have an idea about them, because then you got to start finalizing your boards and obviously some stuff we got going on at No Ceilings, hint, hint. But, you know, I Walker's on that. And I watched every game everyone's been buzzing about this year for Walker. Like, I'm not saying I haven't watched these guys. I've just watched them quick, and now I need to focus and lay it all out at once. So I've seen the games where he had, 12 blocks. I've seen those days, but I'm trying to figure out, is he booming, or is he going to be, are we getting a little too drunk on the idea of what he could become? Like, is his floor more realistic than his ceiling, if that makes sense? But yeah, that's where I'm at. Hit me. What do you got?
All right. Eighth overall, excuse me. I don't think we've talked about this guy yet, so I'm going to go with him instead of another guy I'm thinking of who I might save till last. I'm going to go with Quavion Smith, who I wrote about last week, and I definitely think there's an NBA guard in there. I think he
Go on a rant. I need to hear all I can about Quavion right now, because people are like still at the bar at 3 a.m. drunk on Quavion Smith lately, and
right.
I've seen a little. I've watched a good amount. I need to stop selling myself short. I've watched a good amount. Like, what do? I don't have a life besides watching draft film. So I've watched a good amount, but I'm waiting for a real long night to do that one. So just vent it all out to me. Hit me with it.
Yeah.
I need to read your article.
No, thanks for this.
No, I try to do them all. I like to read all of them in 5 in a row and then be like, cool, thanks guys. You're awesome. I love this team.
Yeah. So I really dove into Quavion's scoring last week over on NoCeilingsNBA.com. Shameless plug. Go check it out. And the shooting is legitimate, and the way he gets into his shots, I think, is really important. He's like a really quick and snappy ball handler. He improvises well. He creates enough space. It's not a ton of space creation on his step backs and side steps, but he has such a quick release that he doesn't need to create, 6 feet on the step backs. He just needs 3, and that shot's out of his hands lightning quick. And he doesn't hesitate with it either, which is both a good and the bad thing. The mid-range shot selection is brutal. It's
Ooh,
in
that's not
line
good.
with it's a lot of it's really similar to Bryce McGowan's pull-up game, to Blake Wesley's pull-up game. Um, the difference with Smith's interior scoring from those guys is those guys attack the rim and attack shot blockers. Smith avoids them, and he takes his 160-pound body and tries to contort it around and avoid contact, which is why he has one of the lowest free throw rates given his usage in the country. And that is where I get really concerned, is there isn't that willingness to draw fouls. There's that craft at the rim to bait guys into fouling him, and that willingness to really generate contact and get to the line to get easy points. And if he's not doing that, then he's purely just a shooter, and that worries me. What encourages me a little bit more is that he's got some serious vertical pop, where this dude can get off the floor quickly, and especially in transition, isn't afraid to dunk it on guys. It's when the weak side rotation is already there on his drives that he gets really frazzled. And in the NBA, that's going to happen more than it isn't. As a playmaker, it's a lot of flash. There's some really absurd assists and some really absurd passes, but he makes a lot of really young player mistakes, like leaving his feet way too frequently on passes and trying to thread the needle when just a simple, extra passes there instead. And then the defense was just really hit or miss for me. So I get a lot of Anthony Simons vibes from him because he's got that scoring and that athleticism, but the body isn't ready to handle NBA physicality yet. And I think it'll get there. I expect him to get stronger and yada, 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 but he's got to go to one of these places that's really going to be patient with him. And like we talked about at the last episode, that's so rare. And if he doesn't get into that spot, I don't see it going super well for him.
Can I go a little off track real quick?
Always.
Why would he be a first round pick? I listened to that whole scouting report. So why would, and I'm not trying to call out anyone. I'm saying why would someone see him as a first round pick? Because I heard everything you just said. That's why I look like a psychopath when Metcalf's talking, because I'm just calculating everything in my head. And that sounds like a second round guy to me. That sounds like a priority second round guy, which everyone listening right now is going like, well, sometimes people just take him at the end of the first. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. That's why I'm saying that's a priority second round guy. But, 6'4", 160?
Yeah, man, he's tiny.
We're talking about guys that are skinny that are 185.
Yeah.
Now take 25 pounds off that.
Yeah.
15 pounds off that. Good math, Tyler. Gosh. Oh.
Yeah. So I would say the reason
25 pounds. Am I an idiot? Yeah, I can't do math today. Wow. Sorry, guys.
No,
hey, you guys seen Goodwill Hunting? It's about my math skills. But I don't know. If you had athletic
I
pop,
wouldn't take him in the first. So
if you had 2 first round picks.
Oh yeah, I would.
Okay. There. See, now we're getting somewhere.
If I for sure got the guy I wanted at pick 8, and then I had something else at 22, yeah, I would do that. Because it would be the same case for why Jordan Poole went in the first, why Anthony Simons went in the first. And should those guys necessarily have gone there? Maybe not. But they went to organizations that had clear development plans for them and were put in a spot where they didn't have to get rushed into being who they are now. And if Smith goes to a place where they expect him to play and contribute within a year or within the first 2 years, I think they're going to be really disappointed, because I don't think he's ready for that physicality. And obviously it's going to hurt him the most on defense. He already has some kind of bad habits, especially off ball on defense, that a lot of young players have. But that mindset of not being able to initiate or play through contact at the rim is the biggest concern for me. the shot is legit. He was especially off the catch. I think he was in like the 83rd percentile overall shooting off the catch and like the 97th when left open. So if NBA team takes him in the first, it will be because they are convinced of the shooting, of the on-ball creation, of the athleticism, and they really believe that they can help mold and iron out those bad habits and improve him physically.
I'm not gonna lie, you didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy about taking him in the first. But that's what I love about you.
It's lotto ticket.
That's why he's good for this segment then. But when I watched him, I immediately was like, oh my gosh, he's got this is a bucket getter. Just by seeing his shot and how smooth it was, I was like, that's a bucket. This is a bucket. So, but the frame, I'm not a frame shame guy. That's why I like Chet. But there's a difference between being undersized guard, super skinny, and shy from contact than being a 7-foot big that goes at people and can use his length to block shots. There's a big difference because, is Quavion Smith going to guard Jaylen Brown? Do you think that's going to be a good matchup for him? Like, it's just, but when I watched him, I was like, okay, but I just thought this was a next year guy. Like, I thought this was going to be a guy that just skyrocketed, and I was like, oh, I'm excited to watch him develop. But yeah, that's a good one. I like the curveball because I have a feeling we're going to have a couple episodes where we're going to talk about him as the draft gets closer. So I'm excited. Now I'm going to probably do that film sooner than I thought because now you got my head spinning and I'm really buzzing about that.
He's a fun watch, especially when things are going right. But when they're going wrong, you're pulling your hair out at every bad pull up. You're pulling your hair out at every time he tries or he attacks the rim and then jumps at a 45-degree angle and flips something up over his head and it barely hits the backboard. But like the free throw rate comment I made earlier, so among players with a usage rate of at least 25, Quavion Smith has the 13th lowest free throw rate in the country. And that's a big concern for me. So
can you say that again? Did you say he has the 13th lowest free throw rate in the country?
So his free throw rate of 18.8 and the lowest in the country is 12.1 for players who actually have the ball.
Yeah, that's less than ideal.
It's not great. And at 160, it feels like something that's really been ingrained just in his subconscious of how to play because of how small he is. Now, again, everyone, I promise I understand he's a teenager. I get that people get stronger and their bodies mature, and I expect that to happen, but how much that happens, I'm not sure, and how quickly, and if those kind of habits at the rim can really be taken out of his game. I'm more skeptical on that than improving a guy's body.
When he played with Sebron, right?
Yeah.
And Sebron
so if you could have molded them,
yeah, that'd be freaking out.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
What a funny wrinkle, because I know Sebron's rim running.
It's absurd.
Monster, or not rim running, but he's just attacking the basket monster. Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one.
All right,
I got my last pick.
At number 9, who you got?
Oh man, I had someone, and then you just threw me completely off, and now I don't know where I'm. Oh, it's time. Okay. While we were doing this podcast, he just declared. JD Davison.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And that, my friends,
declared, not.
I haven't looked too much because I'm trying to give my full attention to the podcast, but
as you always do.
Yeah. Let's. I mean. Oh boy. I get it. Now, people can go back and listen to us talk about JD Davison since the beginning of the year, and my opinion still feels the exact same. I've watched him. I'm always hesitant about super athletic guards that lived off of it in high school that are now making the jump to college. Davison's last, I think it was in the tournament. Yeah, it was the tournament when Quinterly got hurt, right? And Davison had to play like super extended minutes.
I think so.
I think so.
They all blend together.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, sorry guys, but this is the game I'm talking about. I think it was in the tournament. I think Quinterly got hurt in like the first 2 minutes, and Davison had to play extended minutes because he's been coming off the bench all year. And he had, if you look at the box score, he had a good game, but he still makes some passes that are just like pull your hair out. Like they were making a comeback, if you want to call it that, and he like drove right, got caught in the air, threw like a cross-court pass. And the moment he like jumped in the air, I was like, if you throw that is off to the races. And it was. I think Blake Wesley took it and went down, threw down a slam. And it was like, that's the nail in the coffin. And I've seen him do that a couple times where it's like wraparound passes. He's just trying to do too much. Like he has one. He tries to go 1,000,000 miles an hour right now. And I understand he has the burst. I understand in transition, dude is an absolute lightning bolt where it comes to just his speed, and the top speed is freakish. But the next level, you got to be able to play in multiple gears. You got to play different speeds. You have to be under control. And I was just rooting for Davison to go back for another year. Maybe he still can. I'm not trying to dive down that rabbit hole while we're on the air. And maybe he's just trying to go test the waters and see kind of where his stock's at. But this has also been one that I feel like at No Ceilings we've had some mixed opinions. I could see someone taking him in the first round still. Would I? Fuck no. And
so where do you have him?
Oh gosh. And I'm not rooting against him. It's just I don't see it.
We never are.
He's not ready, in my opinion. Like I don't even think like a year of the G League would get him ready to jump into the NBA. Like he needs time. And I have him, and I don't feel good about it. I have him at 44.
Oh,
and I think I have him high. I think I have him high.
Yeah.
Like I just, the tools are all there, but it needs real grooming. And I don't even think like this is a boom or bust poster child, because he can get downhill. He can jump with anyone. He can run with anyone in the open court. He's like, have you seen all the Mighty Ducks movies?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy that can't slow down?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the exact, and I'm sorry I'm blanking on the name. I'm really embarrassed by myself, but he's the guy that can't slow down, that he just keeps skating into all the soda cans over and over and over again. He's got to figure out how to downshift and like play with more pace. And sometimes he shows it. Sometimes he has beautiful passes. It's just flashes right now. And he's going to need it to be more consistent, because I do think there's real legit tools. I think someone would still gamble and draft him early as a developmental guy. Corey's said it. He's like, I could still see him going to the first. And I was like, I can too, because the end of the first round gets really interesting territory. Like stuff happens. You're like, whoa. But yeah, I'm rooting for him because I like him. And it's not just his hair, but I don't like guys going too early. I know, like, go get your money. But I also think JD Davis could go back and get way more money because he can skyrocket up the draft boards. But that's my rant.
Yeah, I don't see it with him. I see just way too much Dennis Smith Jr. The game feels very...
Oh, that one hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Dennis at NC State. I loved him.
There are long stretches where I forget that JD's even on the floor, and the only reason I remember is because of his hair.
That's hard to do. That's really impressive. If you don't notice him on the floor with that hair.
Well, obviously with the hair.
No, I'm saying like if we've talked about this before. Like that's a big thing about evaluating.
Yeah.
If like I can't notice you're on the court, but I'm saying like with his hair, if you can't notice he's on the court, that's even more alarming. But
it feels very like point A to point B, where it's all straight line. He doesn't have that change of pace, like you said, that downshift, the wiggle. The game feels very fast for him right now. Um, yeah, it's just we've been preaching it all year, but when we say we think a guy should go back, that's not a negative. We think we're pro going back and developing your game and going to the NBA when you're ready. And hey, maybe we're wrong. I hope we look like idiots for where we have him. Um, wow, that one just kind of surprised me. But
the last thing I'll say on
yeah,
him is, and I'm not rooting against JD Davison. He looks like a guy that went to college, realized everything's really fast, tried to beat it by playing faster.
yeah,
And now what do you think he's going to try to do at the NBA level, where I've written about this. The most difficult thing with NBA guards is the speed. Like, the speed is so much faster. So now all of a sudden, is he going to just like play with pace? Like, no, he's going to probably try to play even faster, which is going to make him more out of control. That's just why I'm saying, like, man, I wish he went back and it was like his show. Let him kind of run everything and play with more like control and stuff. And then he might be more ready, because I don't want a guy to be not ready and get drafted and just be thrown to the wolves, where it's like his confidence just plummets. Now, maybe some team takes him and looks him in the eye and says, you're going to play in the G League for a long time this year. And that's brilliant, because that's what he needs. He needs game reps of playing lengthy, extended minutes to get the kinks out. And because he was coming off the bench all year. So he needs to just get reps. He needs to get time. And that's why I was wanting him to go back, is because he just needs time. Now, the G League is going to be a great asset for a lot of these guys that we're talking about tonight. And maybe JD Davison is one of them. Maybe he goes back. Roll Tide.
we will see. With the last pick, number 10. I mean, I'm gonna go with a guy who we've talked about a ton. I just don't get it, but I keep seeing him mocked between 15 and 20, and that's Blake Wesley.
Oh, I knew I thought Wesley was coming for like 3 picks.
Yeah, I tried to go a different route, but it would have felt wrong not having him on this list. I get what people are infatuated with. I really like the ball handling, the space creation. The fact that his jumper looks different on every single jumper he takes is a real big concern for me, where your jump shot mechanics should not be like a snowflake where no two are identical. It should be identical every single time. And the I know there's really good shooting performances that he put up. I don't buy it as being a legitimate skill. I don't think he has any at rim finishing craft. I'd like that he goes in and initiates contact. I think that's a real big plus and encouraging. And I think the defense is solid. So I guess when I don't necessarily see him falling out of the league, because I think he has enough tools right now to at least be in like that 7 to 10 spot on a rotation. But when I keep seeing people mock him top 10, top 15, top 20, you're wanting to get a top 6 or a top 4 player in a rotation out of that. And I really struggle to see that. And if that shot never comes around, I don't think he has a chance in hell of hitting that, especially with his shot selection. Maybe that decision making and shot selection were a symptom of who he was asked to be as a player at Notre Dame, because they didn't really have anyone else like him on the team. I'm willing to admit it. I hope that's the case. But what he put on tape every night, from a decision making standpoint, from a feel for the game standpoint, really worries me.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's we've talked about
him a lot. In the next coming months, when I've done deep dives on everyone, then I'll take the gloves off and be like, this is exactly what I think of them. And if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong on all of my negatives. But I usually see stuff eye to eye with you, and I'm pretty spot on there with you about Wesley. The lottery talk's rich for me. Very rich. Very, very rich. I understand why everyone wants to jump on that idea, but I'm still not. No, I'm not there, because I'm like you. If the shot's not falling, what's the next thing?
Right.
And I think,
And I trust a guy like Bryce McGowan's or Caleb Houston's shot to come around a lot more than I do Blake Wesley's.
yeah,
So I get those aren't, apples to apples comparisons of players, but when we're talking about young players who didn't shoot well this year, I would really expect those guys to shoot well before I would expect Wesley to. But if Wesley's shot does come around, I think the mechanics essentially need to be completely reworked and built from the ground up. But if that shot does come around, then then I think he's a legitimate scoring guard in the NBA.
yeah, I'm right there with you. Did you have any other contenders that you were too nervous to mention?
No, not too nervous. Come on, no. A couple of guys who didn't make the cut: Josh Minot, Kendall Brown, Caleb Houston, Julian Champagny, excuse me, and Harrison Ingram were the remaining names on
Ooh,
the list.
Harrison would have been a good one. The first three you rattled off, I had the exact same, which was crazy creepy. Minot's there, but I'm gonna give our boys at No Ceilings that are in love with him some patience, because I need to do. I've watched him. I need to do another one, but I'm pumping the brakes there. Shout out Maxwell. I know Maxwell's extremely high on him.
Yes.
I thought about Kennedy Chandler, but I still think I like him a lot. I thought Jovic maybe. But I do like Jovic. So Max Christie, your boy. Pretty much, Christie and Caleb are the boom boys. Like if they click, oh my goodness. But yeah, this was fun. Yeah. I know this is a long one, but this was a fun episode. And please, everyone listening, remember we are rooting for everyone.
We want all these guys to be booms. We don't want any bust. We are anti-bust.
Anti-bust.
Well, Rucker, thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
As always, what was the best thing you saw recently?
I feel like we talked about a couple in the beginning. Yeah, I just Beverly throwing the shirt. I can't not mention it. Oh, you know what it is? It's he was drinking a beer in his post-game conference. The best was everyone giving him shit for how he acted after the game, like throwing the shirt, getting on the scores table, throwing the shirt. And everyone's like, oh, maybe he'll calm down when he gets in. And then he goes in the locker room, gets on Instagram Live, talking shit about the Clippers, then goes to the press conference with like a Bud Light. And I was just like, just keep rolling. Just keep doubling down, Pat. He's at the craps table just pushing like everything. So, yeah, I can't not reference that. That was my best. What about you? Besides the T-Wolves? No, you can talk about
nothing. Our Lord and Savior Anthony Devonte Edwards just putting on a show, making his arrival, and he doesn't turn 21 until August. The fact that him and Pepev did their post-game presser together, and just like the contrast of Beverly, this veteran, drinking a Bud Light, and Anthony, who's still a kid, drinking a Gatorade. Who's legally not allowed to drink what Beverly is drinking. I just thought it was a really just funny visual. But yeah, Rucker, please plug away. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can support you.
I'm at NoCeilingsNBA.com. We're releasing this. Well, we recorded this early this week because Metcalf's selfish and has to go to town. So are we releasing this tonight? Are we doing back-to-backs? Or are we going to release this tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
No, it's going up tonight because otherwise I'm going to forget. And
yeah, I love that.
3 days from now, you're going to be like, oh, where are we?
So while I'm saying that is tomorrow morning, I will have my piece on Jeremy Sohan up, and it's going to be a heater. I'm pretty pumped about it. I think everyone's going to like the artwork very, very much. Shout out Corey. Corey went crazy with it. Exactly what I wanted him to do. But yeah, I'm at NoCeilingsNBA.com, shameless plug. And you can follow me on Twitter at BackcourtV or Tyler_Rucker. And Metcalf, as always, this is a blast. I'm excited. I feel like the talks are going to get really, really fun. I know they are already, but I feel like as the month advances, we're going to have some fun stuff. I know we got some guests in the works and everything like that. So thanks for always doing this with these. And it's been awesome.
Yes, sir. Please make sure to go check out that Jeremy Suhan piece. For the artwork alone, I saw it already. It's incredible. And then I'm sure Rucker will have some at least decent insight to go along with it.
Decent.
Once again, I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me on Twitter at tmetcalf11, and you can find all of our written work at noceilingsnba.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter. It's 100% free and gets delivered directly to your inbox, so you don't have a valid excuse to not sign up. Please also subscribe to us on YouTube at No Ceilings TV and follow us on Twitter at No Ceilings NBA. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and a 5-star rating. Until next time, see ya.